Good morning. Reverend Elizabeth here with you at Unity Northwest Church on a beautiful Sunday morning. It's great to see you here this morning. Welcome. I am, as I said, Reverend Elizabeth Mora, and I am the senior minister here at Unity Northwest Church in Des Plaines, Illinois. And on this Sunday, I say I am so glad that you are here because you are what makes all of this possible. The reason that we're here on a Sunday to begin with is because you are part of our community. And I like to remind everybody on Sunday that the building's not the church, I'm not the church, you are the church. So thank you for being here this morning and making church happen. And I encourage you as we go along to keep popping up in the chat box. I've already been offered some chocolate chip cookies this morning, so you'll want to be in on the chats. There's lots of good stuff happening over there. So please feel free to comment and let me know what's going on. And we are going to open ourselves in prayer this morning. So I invite you, as you're comfortable, to close your eyes if you'd like, and take whatever position feels good for you to begin this session in prayer. For each one of us is now bringing together our collective energy. And while we wish it were in the same room with each other, we are in the same room in consciousness. What you bring to this service today is just as important as whatever I might say or whatever music we share. It's your consciousness that is part of the oneness that brings this together to create the exact and perfect experience that each one of us has come here for. And it will be different for each of us. Some have come today to celebrate. Some do this because it's part of their tradition. It's a practice for them. Some of you might be here today because you're hurting. You've had a loss. You're being challenged with your body or your mind. And so we take all of those desires, all of those prayers into this service today. And we affirm and set our intention right now that the words, the visuals, just the experience of being here will rise up to meet each one of us in our own special way. And that we might be part of that by something that we hold in our consciousness, something that we type in the comment box, a connection that we make with someone that perhaps we follow up with when we're done here. Each one of us now gives of ourselves, and we now receive the blessing. And we hold Joan Jacobson in prayer. She's not with us this morning. She's had a fall, but she's resting. So Joan, we send out our love to you. And I know several of you this week have gone through losses of friends and relatives, and I hold each of you in the light and know that you are on our prayer list. Our chaplains are praying for you. We send your names to Silent Unity in Kansas City. You are being prayed for, and every morning I light a candle for all of us at Unity Northwest Church and all of those that you hold dear, that you've called me about and emailed us about every morning. Sometimes again in the middle of the day, I light my Christ candle to keep us connected, heart to heart. We bless this service today, and so it is. Amen. If you are joining us online right now, great. Continue to keep popping over into the chat box. Let us know that you're here and what's going on, and say hi. And for those of us on Facebook here again this morning, you could either start a watch party, or when we're done, share this video or any of the videos that we post or invitations to things throughout the week. I encourage you to post as much as you can on Facebook as you're comfortable with about the church, because it lets people know, and you'd be surprised how many people want to know what's going on at your church and how many people might just pop on because of something that you posted. And throughout the service today, I will pop up a few of the hellos from people around the horn here. We've got a number of our friends online. And if you're watching this later on, many people will be watching this. I think the video is up and now yet. I know there's a little bit of a lag. But if you're watching this later on, you are just as much a part of our community as those who are here with us this morning. So thank you for being with us. We also have someone from Unity of Ames. Hi, Linda. It's great to see you. We're sort of sister churches with Unity of Ames, and they join us from time to time when Rev Deb is on vacation. So it's great to see some Unity of Ames folks. And Molly, and last week tonight with John Oliver. That's what we'll start calling him from now on. And Rob, Lori, Ruth, Dallas, Jeanette, it looks like so many of the gang is here. And again, welcome to anybody who's new here for the church this morning. You can find out all sorts of information about the church on our webpage. And we like to share every week here something called the Daily Word. If you're not familiar with Unity, you can find the Daily Word online. Every day there's an app that also pops up for you. And so we are going to read, well, this is interesting. I am going to read, I've been cheating just a little bit. Shh, don't tell anybody, but sometimes I've been reading a daily word that really matches up with what the service is. A lot of times it's what happened. It is the Sunday reading. So if you really would like the Sunday reading, I encourage you to go over and take a look at it online or pull out your daily word book. And what I am going, Oliver, it probably auto-typed. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to read one that really applies to the sermon that I'm going to give a little bit later. So we're going to head over to Wednesday, July 29th, and talk about connection. So important, always in our life. We talk about church. One of the main things that church provides for all of us is connection with other people, with like-minded people on a spiritual path. And of course, these days, even more important, figuring out how to connect with people. And we're always doing that here at Unity Northwest as well, figuring out what is it that people need right now that isn't another overload to people. Because I know a lot of us, it's been a lot of screen time. So thank you for spending a few more minutes looking at a little screen or a big TV screen. Thank you for doing that right now so that we stay connected, so that eventually, sometime down in the future, we will be back together. And so connection, so important to all of us. I have a sacred connection to all of life. I see the interconnectedness of everything when I look at nature. I notice how the trees provide a nesting place for birds and how rainfall nourishes all living creatures. My observations remind me that I am connected to all things through spirit. I honor my connection to all living beings by expressing respect and kindness to animals, the environment, and all people. I give thanks for the food and other resources that nature provides to sustain my life. I work on improving my interpersonal skills so that I may better communicate and connect with authenticity and compassion. I learn from the wisdom of all life, and I honor all connections as sacred. I therefore beg you to lead a life worthy of the calling to which you have been called, with all humility and gentleness, with patience, bearing with one another in love, making every effort to maintain the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace, from Ephesians. That really resonated with me this morning. I don't know about you, especially as we struggle with everything that's going on in the country right now, all of the divisiveness, as we deal with just the physical distance from each other. remembering that bond, that I'm connected to all of you, to everyone out there, to every living creature, to everything that is here. I am connected to that. And so when it feels like I'm distant, I remember that the truth that we know and that we teach here is oneness. That ultimately we are all connected and we are all one. So let me see that, even when it's difficult, even when it's frustrating and hard. That's what we're here to do. And I love that that passage talked about working on my communication skills and my interpersonal skills. What a very practical thing for a daily word to be talking about. And that's why we teach classes like Crucial Communication, because that's part of what we are here to do. It's to read the Bible and to study and to work on ourselves. Absolutely. And also to work on our relationships with others and how I show up in an authentic way, able to use the power of my voice and balance that with kindness. And so it's a wonderful thing that we can combine all of those teachings into one here in Unity. And a couple of more good mornings. Good morning to Marilyn. She always pops over to our Zoom coffee. I so appreciate that, Marilyn. Yes, the gifts of imperfection. That's what we're in for today, Don. And good morning to Tim and Anne. Got a little buffering this morning. Okay. Hello, Nancy. So if any, the rest of you are getting a little buffering, let me know down in the comments. Otherwise, it may be on the receiving end, not on the delivery end. I am hooked up to my Ethernet cable today. Okay. And so I invite you now into this precious sacred time of meditation. If you want to take anything that you might have in your lap and just set it aside, let us meditate together. And I invite you to take several nice, deep, cleansing, relaxing breaths. We'll do that together. Breathing in, breathing out. In and out. In and out. Just those 3 breaths can transport me into this still small space of my soul. It's a signal to my mind and my body. It's time to rejuvenate, to meditate. With my eyes gently closed and my body alert and relaxed, I focus on the simplest thing possible right now, and that is my breath. And as I slow down and really observe, I realize I don't need to make my breath happen. I can observe it, receive it. I can work with it if I want to take a deeper breath or a different kind of breath. But the simplest is to let it be and to let it come, just as it is in life. To find the ease to be with life, to act when needed, and to come back to center to receive. And as I breathe in and out, when I'm aware of something else, a thought, a sensation, it's okay. I simply realize I am now back in the present moment, observing, and I choose to observe my breath again. It's the simplest thing there is. And I release any thoughts that it's difficult or that I can't do it, because I am doing it. I am at peace. I am fulfilled. I have all that I need. I am all that I need. And I continue to know this, resting in silence. I am grateful for the freedom to be able to take this time. I'm grateful for the choice that I make to be here, to show up, to be in spiritual practice with others, and to take advantage of this collective energy and to be part of it. It is such an honor to be in this community, to give and receive. And the energy and the love that we have all now created here in this service, let us send it out into the world, not knowing where it may land and what difference it may make, but knowing with complete and utter faith that it will make a difference. We send this love out to the world to bring forth more peace, more truth. And so it is. Amen. A couple of more good mornings. Hello, Sally. Great to see again some Unity of Ames. Jeanette's got no buffering there, so that's good to know. And welcome again to everyone near or far, and whether you're with us today or you're with us some other day. She walked into the room, and it was intimidating. A big audition room. At the table were 5 or 6 people with pens and notes and resumes and headshots all over the place. There she was, auditioning for the first time in her professional life, and it was scary. She had taken classes with John Herrera. She had practiced her song over and over again. She had a tight 32 bars. She had her music put on cardboard so that it wouldn't flop over when the musician had it. She knew exactly how to come up to the musician and to tell the piano player what she needed, what her tempo was. She was as ready as she was ever going to be because she had been a high school star. She had played the lead in so many of the shows and taken voice lessons and acting lessons, and now was going to be professional. So it was her first professional audition. And she walked into the room and she was nervous. She went over to the piano player, gave the instructions, and began singing. And as it works in musical theater, you pick the best 16 or 32 bars, a very short piece. You don't get to sing the whole song. So she jumped right into the middle of the song, and the piano player was not with her. It was not working. It didn't sound like it sounded like when she practiced it with her voice teacher. It sounded different. And so it was difficult to get the pace. It was difficult to get going. She got kind of nervous, and she must have sung one, maybe two lines of the song. And they said, "Thank you. That's all we need today." She didn't even finish 16 bars, let alone 32 bars. So she walked out. She got into her little Chevy Chevette, and she cried. That was not what she thought it was going to be. And that was her first and her last professional audition ever. Because it was too much. She just frankly didn't have the courage to pursue it and to go back because she felt so imperfect. She thought she had everything ready, and she didn't. It was harder than she thought, and it was too much for her, and so she left and didn't do theater for a long time after that. And she would go back to do community theater and things like that, but never again professional audition. And that was me. 30-some years ago, 40-some years ago. My first and last professional audition down at Porchlight Theater, I think it was, in Chicago. And it triggered every little bit of a fear that I'm not perfect and that I'm not good enough that I had inside of me. And it was years later before I found things that would help me with that. I actually read books on perfectionism, and of course, blessedly, I got into Unity, which started to help me with that because the fear had overtaken me. I was a beginner. I was new, but there wasn't room for that. I thought that I had to be perfect all the time. And I know that I'm not alone. I know that a lot of us have that we're not good enough on some level. Not good enough. And you might have a particular phrase for you. You know, one of mine is, "I'm stupid," or "I should have known better." When I make a mistake or something, "Wow, I can't believe I did that." Something simple, you know, dropping something, making a mess. "Oh, I'm so stupid. I can't believe I did that." So all of that language, all of those messages, the tapes inside our head that we call them, which we don't have tapes anymore, but we still have tapes running in our head. That's what needs to be reprogrammed. And that's where books like The Gifts of Imperfection come handy. The Gifts of Imperfection. Anybody notice anything on my slide here today? I decided that I was going to just let myself be authentic. So if you catch anything on my slide, pop it down into the comments bar. Just a little fun test for you. I'm seeing that nobody else is having some buffering, so I'm glad to see that. So the gifts of imperfection, it seems like it's the gifts of perfection. I don't understand why we're talking about imperfection, but oh boy, am I excited that we're talking about imperfection. And it's author Brene Brown's book that we're looking at today. And I know Don mentioned it, that he's seen it. And if you've already read it, mention a comment down there. Let me know that you've read it. The Gifts of Imperfection, and there are many. It is such a gift to be able to admit that we are not perfect in the sense that we think we're supposed to be here in this world, that we all stumble, that we're all learning, that we're all on this journey. Yeah, that's the truth of it. And I'm going to pop over and share a couple of things. So Jeanette says hers is, "I can't believe I did that." I'm so stupid. Yeah, some of us have a few of those. So, and some of you are great. We've got some proofreaders here. Yeah, I put in some spellings and some R's, yes, and the literacy, and my name was misspelled. And so good job, everybody, for catching all of those things. And our mind, interestingly enough, is wired to do that. It's wired to look for the mistakes like that. And it's not always wired to see what was great, because 90% of my slide was perfect. It was just 10% that had the mistake. But where does the mind go? Where does the eye go? Where do we go when we judge ourselves? And so what if we could do what Brene Brown is saying here? What if we could let go of who we think we're supposed to be and embrace who we are? Boy, that's really my wish and my prayer for everybody. If there's one prayer to have, it's that they can embrace who they are and be real and be authentic. Quick pause on authentic. That does not mean that you just get to go out and be a jerk to everybody, because that's authentically what I feel like. We are also in relationship with others. So if we love and care about others, we care about how we land with others and can be in dialogue about that. Authentic doesn't mean harmful. Authentic means true to yourself, not losing yourself. And so many of us, because we're taught that when we're little, that, hey, you've got to make sure that you're making mom and dad happy, make your teacher happy. We're so busy figuring out making everybody else happy that we lose ourselves, some of us. So if you've lost yourself a little bit, Brene and I are inviting you to be your full self, to have the courage to be your full self. And it does take courage sometimes. It really does. And you can do it. Brene Brown talks about wholehearted living, and wholeness is a word that we use a lot. I use that a lot on Sundays. And so here's what she says, that wholehearted living is engaging in our lives from a place of worthiness. Genesis, the beginning of the Bible, the created in the image and the likeness, that we are worthy. And that it cultivates three things that we're going to talk about: courage, compassion, connection. Courage, compassion, connection. Start to memorize those. Courage, compassion, connection. To wake up and to know that no matter what gets done and what you leave behind and what mistake you make, you are enough. You go to bed at night and you think, yes, I'm imperfect and vulnerable and sometimes afraid, but that doesn't change the truth that I am also brave and worthy of love and belonging. Part of the practice then is you can wake up. You might even put a reminder by your bed. You can wake up and say, today I'm going to live courage, compassion, and connection. And no matter what gets done and what I leave on the plate, I'm enough. I've done enough. I'm brave. I'm wholehearted. I'm vulnerable. I'm real. In my position, I try to make sure that I get everything done in every position I've ever had. And then there's those things that slip through the cracks and you feel bad. You're like, oh, how could I forget to do that? Because I'm human and we all do that at times. And then I may look at it and say, okay, what do I need to do so that my to-do list is more effective? And if you have found the perfect to-do list, please let me know, because I can have reminders on my watch, on my computer, on paper, on sticky notes, and things will still slip through. Because it's a big, bold, busy life that most of us lead, with lots of opportunities for things. That's the exciting part. If you think about it, a friend of mine once said that instead of saying, I'm so busy, or I'm so overwhelmed, she says, I am having so much fun choosing from all the things that I can choose from. We have more things to choose from than we can do. How exciting is that? That's the attitude, instead of, oh, I didn't get to that, I'm not doing enough. You are doing enough. These days, getting through the day sometimes is doing enough, because you are enough. It's not even about doing. You are enough. And you might say that over and over again. I am enough. I am enough. I am enough. Wholehearted living means that we get to embrace the imperfection. I encourage you to do that. You get to embrace the imperfection and maybe even find a way to laugh at it. Sometimes I'm able to do that when I can really get in touch with this teaching. Now, this goes a little bit askew from some of the things that we've been taught, like this Bible passage, Matthew 5:48. Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father, which is in heaven, perfect. Wow, that really seems like the opposite of what I'm saying right now, doesn't it? Brene Brown is saying the gifts of imperfection, but I'm being told, well, be perfect. Now, guess what? This verse that you're looking at doesn't mean exactly what it says it means. Whenever we're dealing with a Bible passage, especially taken out of context, just one little quote, it's good to pause and to look into it a little more if you've got the time. Now, I know you may not have the time, so I did it for you this week. Dug deep into this passage again, because I've worked with this passage quite a bit in my life. Be ye perfect, because I think about this passage and something like, think about the birds who do not toil. Which is it? Am I supposed to be relaxed like the bird and not worrying? Or am I supposed to be trying to achieve perfection? We can find lots of conflicting messages in the Bible. So we go and we look at who said it. In this case, it's attributed to Jesus. And when was it said? What came just before this? And then even more important than that, you've heard me say it a lot, is what were the original words? So the original Greek, what were the words of the Greek Bible? It's the closest we can get. And what did those words actually mean? Ha ha! So we must be a little bit of a detective. Perfect. This is that Bible verse in Greek. Everybody go ahead. Did you understand it now? This is the original verse. So unless we're fluent in Greek, we have to rely on those who translate for us. And they translate into multiple languages by the time it hits us in English, and words change over time. So teleos is the word that we're looking at. Perfect. The Greek word that was used there was teleos. And here's what it means: whole, complete, perfect. Now feel the difference between be complete, like God in heaven is complete. Totally different meaning. Now take on be whole, as God in heaven is whole. Be whole. Know your wholeness. I don't think that God, which is not a person, but if God were a person, that God would be thinking that God were stupid at times. That's not something that the divine principle does. It's what we do as humans. So be ye complete as your Father in heaven is complete. Be ye whole. Embrace wholehearted living. Embrace your wholeness. And you might look at it in the Message Bible translation. Grow up. You're kingdom subjects. Now live like it. Live out your God-created identity. Live generously and graciously towards others the way God lives towards you. Sometimes the Message Bible is a really fun way to look at what a passage really means for us. So it is saying a little bit of grow up. This came after the Beatitudes. This came after all the instruction that Jesus was giving to people. Here's how you're supposed to live. Murder means more than just murdering someone. It's what you think in your mind. If you have a grievance, get rid of it. He went on and on and on in Matthew 5 about how we were to live. And towards the end, then he wraps it up with be complete as your Father in heaven is complete. Move to be as God-like as you can. That's what we're here to do, while also remembering that we're already whole. So grow up a little, act like kingdom workers, and love ourselves and love others and be kind and do all of those things. Live that way. Courage, compassion, and connection. Courage, compassion, and connection. Courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen. It's a different definition than what we typically think of. You know, we usually think of courage as the person that lifts the truck off of the baby, and that absolutely is part of it. And really what courage right now we're talking about, the courage is to show up and be you. And have you ever sat in a meeting where you had a different opinion than everybody else in the room? And how much courage did it take to say something? To essentially be, was it Henry Fonda in 12 Angry Men? Everybody else is convinced and you're the one. To say something different than what's being said, to have that courage to stand up. In big ways and in little ways. So start with being who you are. William Fisher, Unity Minister, says, all people have within them the divine source of courage. And when we learn how to draw upon this inner reserve, we find we have more of it to express than we ever dreamed. We are filled with courage. It may not be a word we've thought of. But think about the courage that it takes to walk across a bridge, to be beaten. And think about the courage that it takes to sit at a counter, and the courage that it takes to ride on the Freedom Bus, and the courage that it takes to stand up today. Think about that kind of courage, and you're thinking about someone like John Lewis. Never be afraid to make some noise and get in good trouble, necessary trouble. Good trouble, necessary trouble. And it took a lot of courage for him, because he was beaten, hit with stones, with chains, hit over the head with a crate at one point. And he actually thought that he might die on that bridge that day in Selma. And he knew that he had to be true to who he was to keep going. He is a true man of courage. With the spotlight on him with his passing, and I happened to have an old magazine of Oprah that I was flipping through a few months ago before we knew this would be what we were all going through, with some of his quotes that were so moving, especially this one, good trouble. I like that. There is such a thing as causing some good trouble. And maybe there's a little good trouble you need to cause in your life with some courage. And then we move to compassion. And of course, we have this story of the Good Samaritan. As he journeyed and he came to where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. He saw a beaten man and he had compassion. Today, I don't know about more than ever, but today more than ever, let me say, compassion. We really need to have that. I try to have that with those who think differently than I do right now. And I admit it's hard sometimes to try to understand. So to match that compassion, though, with the courage to keep doing what I need to do, to have compassion for the person who doesn't like me personally, let's just say, but the courage to keep being me while understanding not everybody likes me. To have the courage to stand up for the political and social and injustice issues that I'm standing up for, and to have compassion that not everybody's there. And I wasn't there years ago. Do my best, do our best to bring forth compassion while also having courage. This is what compassion looks like to me. This is Bhante Vimala, who was with our church last year. This is compassion, going out, one version of it, into all of these devastated areas, into Nepal, into Haiti, after earthquakes and all sorts of disasters, and to feed people and to build homes. And he sees some of the darkest times, and he's one of the happiest people you've ever met. He has the courage to do what he does, and he does it with huge compassion. And our self-compassion is absolutely where it starts. So for you, self-compassion is your key, because when we're gentle with ourselves, when we're feeling shame, we're more likely to reach out, connect, and experience empathy. If you ever go into shame beyond that momentary, oh, I can't believe I did that silly thing. But if shame is affecting you, reach out. Connection is a lifeline, not just for a game show. To notice how much compassion you are having for yourself. I have a practice now that I do when I keep using the example of dropping something, but if I drop something or I bang my head, or something like that, getting into the car, I do that from time to time. And like, first I'll get mad. Oh, I can't believe I did that. And then I jump right over to, I can't believe how silly that was. Changes everything. Compassion. Like if someone saw me do that, it was probably kind of funny. If somebody else lived in my world, they'd say, oh, that's nothing. And I realize how serious I've been taking myself. So maybe you can find a substitute phrase for yourself. Instead of, I can't believe I did that, I'm just like, I can believe I did that. That's me, and I'm awesome at it. It's a lot more fun. Self-compassion and reaching out. It takes courage to connect. Because connection is why we're here. We are hardwired to connect with others. We can go sit on a mountaintop, but until we come down into the household and we're really with each other, then we're not really growing spiritually in the way that we could. Because it's all good when you're on the meditation cushion, so it's when we get together with others and we come out. Now, sometimes connecting looks like this these days. We're at the dinner table and our cell phone is a distraction. Well, we're at the beach and we're not really enjoying the beach. Cell phones take a lot of hit, but cell phones are also the magic of connection these days. They're everything. So maybe if any of this has resonated with you, it means picking up the phone and popping off a quick text, or picking up the phone and FaceTime someone so you can see someone, or just a call, or just, hey, would you think about me today? You can let us know that at the church anytime, and I'll light my special magical Christ candle for you. I had a friend who did that a couple weeks ago. Would you light the candle for me? I didn't know why. I didn't need to know why. Found out later she was going into the hospital for a surgery, but she trusted enough and had enough faith to say, I just need to know somebody else knows and is thinking about me. So find your friends that you can do that with. Especially as we're isolated, especially if you're at home alone. Courage, compassion, and connection. And Brene says, I now see how gifts like these three gifts that she's talking about, only work when they're exercised every day. Gosh darn it, there it is again. We got to use it. There's that fifth principle of unity. This all sounds good. So start small this week. If there's something you could do, like if you have negative messages during the week, find a turnaround for you. Well, that was ridiculous. Well, that was funny. I bet I won't even remember this next week. Whatever it is, find that place of compassion inside for yourself. Is there somewhere that you've needed to speak up or do something different that you haven't for yourself? To use your power, to use your force and your will. Maybe it's a week to take a step with that. And maybe it's simply to reach out to connect. Maybe it starts by joining us for coffee in a couple of minutes over on Zoom just to let us see you. Because this is our summer of love. I've been encouraging us to say, what kind of summer do we want to create? How will you use courage, compassion, and connection to continue creating this summer of love? Because this is what imperfect really is. Imperfect is you are perfect. You are absolutely right where you need to be doing what you need to do. So keep doing it. and grab onto that courage and that compassion, because you are enough. You are enough. More than enough.
MacBook Pro.
Hey, na 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 na, more than enough. Hey, na 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 na, more than enough. Hey, na 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 na, more than enough. Hey, na 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 na, more than enough. I have more than enough of all that I need to do all I can do. Be all I can be as I go through this day. This is my creed. I have more than enough of all that I need. I have more than enough of all that I need. Hey, na 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 na, more than enough. Hey, na 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 na, more than enough. Hey, na 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 na, more than enough. Hey, na 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 na, more than enough. Is there anyone who can't remember a time when you had less money and it did just fine compared to where we were? We've come all this far. Why not spend the day enjoying where we are? I have more than enough of all that I need to do all I can do. Be all I can be as I go through this day. This is my creed. I have more than enough of all that I need. I have more than enough of all that I need. Hey, no, 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 more than enough. Hey, no, 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 more than enough. Hey, no, 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 more than enough. Hey, no, 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 more than enough. Take a quick look back at dreams of yesterday. Dreams of living the life that you live today. We spend so much time wanting so much more, when there's plenty here to be thankful for. I have more than enough of all that I need to do all I can do. Be all I can be as I go through this day. This is my creed. I have more than enough of all that I need. I have more than enough of all that I need. Hey, no, 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 more than enough. Hey, no, 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 more than enough. Hey, no, 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 more than enough. Hey, no, 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 more than enough. I have more than enough of all that I need to do all I can do. Be all I can be as I go through this day. This is my creed. I have more than enough of all that I need. I have more than enough of all that I need. Hey, no, 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 more than enough. Hey, no, 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 more than enough. Hey, no, 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 more than enough. Hey, no, 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 more than enough. Hey, no, 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 more than enough. Hey, no, 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 more than enough. Hey, no, 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 more than enough. Hey, no, 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 more than enough.
Thank you, Janice Stanfield, for getting us up and going, and thank you all for being here again. Boy, we've had some great things that I want to real quickly pop through here on some of the stuff people have been sharing about what their messages. I should have And we've got some spelling. I can't believe I did that. I'm so stupid. Be whole. Connection is a lifeline. Courage, compassion, connection is the key. And we will pop the Zoom link in just a moment for everybody, okay? Thank you, Tim and Chris are going to join. We've got Bruce on with us. Thanks, Nancy. And someone needed to hear this today. I'm so glad. And got a little message here from Don. So thank you for being here with us again today. And if you would like to support Unity of Northwest Church, we would love that. There's 3 easy ways for you can give. You can go up at the top of this Facebook into the comments section. Up top, the description has a link to our donate page. You can go over to our webpage, donate button right on the front page. And also right here on Facebook is a big donate button up at the top. And if you would like to send a check into the church, that is absolutely fine. You can find our address here and also online. So thank you again for all of you for donating, because the church continues on. And while we've done what we can to minimize expenses, it still costs money to run our church. So you are investing, as I say, in your spiritual life when you invest in your church. Thank you. And now let's take into consciousness all of those gifts, whether they're in your hand or done online, and say our blessing. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thank you, God. We will continue to be on Facebook for the coming Sundays. We have no plans at this moment to reopen. We do have a health and safety team. They do continue to look at this so that when it is time, we will be ready safely. And right now we are keeping abreast of all of the trends and keeping everyone safe. And please do share this on Facebook. You might wait a few minutes and then it will pop over and it will be a recording that you could share. So you are the best attraction to our church. Our last session of addressing racism is going to be this Wednesday. So we thought it was going to be last week. We had so much to talk about, we could not finish. So we're going to go one more session. If you would like to pop in, if you've been on at any point or you haven't, feel free to drop in. We're going to kind of do our best to wrap things up and talk about where we're all going next. It's been a really powerful experience, and I'm so grateful to everybody who's been on with us. Whoops. And reminders that be sure that you're checking your e-blast. If you don't get an email from us every week, it means you're not on the list. So send us an email at the church or go on the front page of the webpage, and you can get hooked up with that. Our videos are also over on YouTube, so you can watch past sermons, meditations, and our donate button is always available. So if you weren't able to donate today, you can certainly do that at any other time. Please be safe out there. Please wear your masks. I'm a believer in masks. Germs actually work on me at times. So I'm no mask denier here. You can be unity, you can be faith-filled, you can believe in healing your body through your mind, and you can wear a mask and show compassion to everyone around you. I think we're doing a great job here in Chicago compared to what I see in other areas. So way to go, everybody. Next week, we're going to continue on. We're going to work through this book for the next 4 or 5 weeks. So more on Brene Brown. I know we got a lot of fans out there, so let your friends know if they like Brene. Hey, we're doing that series at my church. Watch the first one on YouTube and get caught up. And our Zoom coffee link is at the description at the top of this page. And you can click on the link. Sometimes we have people who have posted it, not right now, but that's okay. So up at the top in the description is the link to our fellowship. Please join us for Zoom, catching up. And if you can't find it right there, go to events under our page, Unity Northwest. There's an event called Church Fellowship with the link. It's always there. I know sometimes it's hard to, where do I find that Zoom link? How do I get back on? So you can find that link and you can do that. And if I can, while I'm here, I may see if I can quickly grab it myself. Yes, I can. Here we go. I will put both links down here. Look at that. I'm able to talk. I'm able to copy. So there are the links. Excuse me. for fellowship. Tiny URL we've got for both of them. The tiny URL is SunFell, Sunday Fellowship. So you can join us in just a couple of minutes if you would like to. And finally, please remember that you are amazing. You matter, you are loved, and you're perfect. I'll see you next week. Blessings to everybody, and I'll see you over on our fellowship call in just a couple of minutes. Have a wonderful week. You're amazing. Show courage, compassion, and connection.